friends, it's Jenny and I am revisiting my GGC Shells and Flowers sophisticated collection. I'm not sure. I've used this for a couple of projects already. I still have a ton of beads and I'm not sure if I'm going to be making again before the next collection becomes available. I expect to see some kind of announcement about that within the next couple of weeks, just based on previous timing, not because I've got any kind of inside scoop. Promise, I don't. But I was looking at this box and I was like, I know I want to make something more with it. And I was trying to think what I wanted to do, comparing to what I used to do, what I've already done. And I got some really great advice from my sister that sometimes when you're just trying to do something always super new or something like that, that you maybe aren't doing the things that you love the most. And so that kind of like hit me a little bit. And my sister gives really good advice, by the way, friends. And so I looked at this box and I said, you know what I absolutely fell in love with the most from this box when I opened it was all of this super sparkly crystal. And I planned to use a whole bunch of this. In fact, my first design was a beaded chain necklace because we were doing the beaded chain challenge. I'm like, yay, kick it off with this. And it was great. But the crystals didn't look right on links with what I was working with. And so I ended up not using as many of them as I would have wanted. And then the next project that I made that used beads from this box was a beach themed necklace. So I leaned heavily into the shell and the heishi and those aspects of it. So I haven't really got to play with these crystals. And so I decided that I'm going to do something just simple. I'm going to take my favorite beads from this box and I am going to string them on a very sparkly, much smaller necklace. So it's going to be more collar length than possibly a little bit closer to choker style, but not actually choker, where it just rests at the base of the throat. And I'm not going to use a focal. I am just going to celebrate the sparkle, sparkle, sparkle and come up with a pattern that helps to showcase that. So I'm using the kind of the lantern shaped rondelles, these star cut rounds. I had a few that went into the wrong place. That's okay because I'll grab them there. Some of these smaller star cut that are more on the black side that had the electroplating, and some of these silver lined seed beads to kind of give space and accent where I want them. But I'm just going to play with putting these on a strand and making myself a super sparkly, high glamour celebration of all that sparkles. That's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to get into this box if I need some more. There's still these column beads that I haven't used. I'm not sure if I want that shape in this design. But there's still so much in this box that is probably going to be incorporated into my stash. I might not make another make specifically from this box, but these are still fantastic beads that I just didn't get around to using. I might use some of these gold findings later with other colors. I really felt like this lent itself more heavily towards like silver or hematite tones, and so that's mostly what I've been using. Yeah, I'm gonna set this aside for now and get out my fun sparkly guys. A little bit of everything on my mat. So we've got the rondelles here, which I absolutely fell in love with. I love these star cut guys too. I was able to use them in that beaded chain design that I did. And then we've got this, and I just have a loose knot tied here that I'm just gonna undo. And spill out some of these guys. I'm not sure how many of those that I'll use, but yeah. Get out some of those and some of these Toho silver lined seed beads as well. I am going to be stringing this because these are all these beautiful moody grays. that sparkle, moody and sparkle at the same time, and I love it. I am going to be stringing on the satin silver soft flex, the medium wire. And yes, this is a bigger spool because I love this. And so my sister got me some bigger spools of beading wire, and this was one of the ones that she got me a bigger spool of. This is also one that she got me a bigger spool of. But I'm just gonna start playing with these, making patterns on this. Since I'm not gonna have a focal, I am stringing on the strand, but I'm starting on one end and working my way in. So I'm probably going to start and stop with a series of seed beads, just because that's tidy for me. Oh, and I am going to be using this, because we're doing the Super Sparkle, this rhinestone magnetic clasp, rhinestone covered magnetic clasp. So I'll take off the lobster claws when I get to it. I'm probably not going to use them, but it depends on where my pattern has landed and if I actually want that extra length that you get from the lobster claws or not at the clasp. So that's why I haven't taken that off. And then I do like to do kind of graduated. I feel like it helps the transition between large and small beads. So I like to do a little bit of a graduated look, but I wonder if I want to do an interrupted graduated look, because I've been doing the full graduated look on a lot of designs recently, which is fine. I mean, if I like it, I like it. But I'm going to experiment with placing just one seed bead between each of these, just giving them each bead a little bit more of a moment as we do that graduation from the smallest star cut up to that big, like lantern cut rondelle. And if this is the design that I want. I'm just getting a couple of repeats on here so that I can see how it looks. And I will pull, see, I'm already kind of liking this. I'll pull it, put it in my dish and pull it up closer to the screen so all of you can see it at that same time. I like to look at it on the viewfinder on my phone as well. It gives me that little bit of separation sometimes to get an idea if I'm really liking a pattern or a design. And I don't know if that's the right term. There's probably a right term for what I'm doing, but you know, it is a graduated in size, but graduated with these interruptions of the seed beads just to give a little bit more space. So this is what I've got. Get my dish here, curl it up in here and hold it up so you can see. Gotta get my thumb shadow out of the way. I'm kind of liking that. I'm kind of liking that. Because then it still will be, because I want something that's like full of sparkle, but I didn't really want it to look heavy and thick with beads either. And I think that using these are 80 Tohos, using these, I'm putting it in my hand so I can move it a little bit more and you can catch that sparkle. You still get all the sparkle from that crystal, but it's not a straight strand of crystals. If anything doesn't quite fit, it's these smaller star cut ones, but I feel like that slightly darker look is important for having that visual interest as well. So I'm going to keep going. I'm liking this. And like I said, this is just going to be a simple one with me celebrating my favorite beads from this box and not trying to do anything complicated. I've added no metal. There's no bead caps involved. There's no spacers aside from the seed beads themselves, which did come in the bundle, in the treasure bag. Oh, that's the wrong. It helps if I do the right. Oops. I was picking it up off the mat and that seemed to have been working better for me. Maybe I should go back to that. But I'm just doing that repeat of 3 seed beads and then a seed bead between each of the crystals, 3 seed beads, and that's just ramping up in size and then back down. So very, very easy pattern. And if you don't have this collection, but you have some complementary crystals and some seed beads that go with them, that would look nice with them, you can repeat this style so easily with beads that you just have from your stash and create your own super sparkly but simple design. In fact, this is simple enough, and I think I've got enough of these beads that after I make the necklace, I might make a small matching bracelet. Not too small though, friends, because we already did that last week, because you'll probably see this. I'm recording it on Sunday, but I am about to be out of town, and so this will release sometime during the coming week while I am away dealing with some family things. So that is something coming up probably for all of you. You'll see this sometime in the coming week or weeks. But I'm liking this. I'm actually really liking this. It's just full of sparkle, and I think it's going to look really elegant and classy as like a collar length necklace that just rings around your throat and catches the light. How pretty is that going to be? Yep, yep. And this is simple enough that we are definitely going to have time to make a bracelet, and I have enough beads, so why not? Why not just repeat this pattern? I can check the length of the pattern and see how many repeats will fit on the bracelet for the size that I want, since I'll be doing probably the same thing. If I need to alter it at all, I'll taper it off towards the clasps where maybe I don't use as many of the seed beads in between, or something to modify it if it's not quite going to be right. Or just end with seed beads. That's also totally fine too. But I'm just adding more beads and scooching them down my wire and keep going. My priority is going to be the necklace, and then we'll see. I didn't get all of any of these beads out of my box. I can grab more to do the bracelet. Just picking those up. It's funny, the one that I have the most of is these big lantern beads, but because of the pattern I'm doing, that's the one I'm using the least of. That's okay. That means I will get to use them, because like I said, this is probably going to be getting incorporated into my stash soon, and those beads are going to be great to be able to pull from whenever I want some. Love a good sparkly crystal. I'm just casting a glance over my pattern just to make sure I hadn't missed anything before I get too far along. I don't mind doing a little restringing, but this is already a fairly simple pattern, so y'all might be bored with it, and that's okay. I'm just stringing. I'm playing with my favorite beads from the box, and they really are. This is what was my favorite when I was first opened up the box, and continued to be my favorite. So I am making a design entirely based around them, not trying to do a focal, not trying to do anything fancy, although because they're crystal, it is fancy. But I'm not doing anything complicated. This is a simple, glittery design. Oh, I only got 2 seed beads on in that section. That's why I go back and glance. Something felt off and I had to go see what it was. I thought I'd missed a crystal, but I didn't. I did not miss a crystal. I missed a seed bead in that little trio that I put between my repeats. I think we're getting close to the length that I want. I'm going to hold it up to my neck and check. So I'll be off screen for a moment, finishing this repeat right here and seeing how much space that I still need. Because like I said, this is just going to be around the base of my throat. I think maybe 2 repeats and we're done. We're getting really close. So I knew it wasn't ready yet, but I wanted to get an idea how much I needed. That wasn't the stopping place. My neck is not that tiny. But I am going to want room to clasp and for it to sit where I want it. Just circling the base of my throat. With no heavy pendant to change the way it drapes. Just drape how it goes. Okay, so put 1 repeat on. This should be the second one, unless I already did 2. I wasn't counting since I said I needed 2 more. If I need to pull off some beads, that's super easy to do, so I'm not worried. I thought I still needed 1. And then I was like, wait a minute, did I already do? I don't know. Like I said, it looks like some of these piles are getting small, but I've got the rest of this strand right here. So not worried about that, not worried about the seed beads. I've even got some more of these. I should have plenty to make myself a little bracelet. And maybe just some very simple light drops. Like stick earrings that only have just a couple of stones on them. My sparkliest ones. We'll see. All right, checking this length. I'm going to add a few extra seed beads on each side. So this is 5, 6, 7, because I need a little bit more length, but not a lot more length to fit the way I want it to with that clasp. Not enough to do a whole other repeat, but this way I end with like a little line of seed beads. And 1 more. I'm going to do 9 seed beads on each side. So I started with 3 and I just added an extra 6 seed beads. So this should be 9 seed beads. Okay. And I am going to use some silver because it'll match better with my clasp. Some silver crimp tubes. Let's get this crimped. Get out my magical crimper. I didn't even go over tools at the beginning of this video. I was like, oh, this is so simple. So I'm using flush cutters, which you saw me, you haven't actually seen me use yet. Flush cutters that we're about to use, some magical crimpers, and then I've got some pliers for opening and closing jump rings. But let's get this crimped. Just sliding that crimp tube on, looping that back through, giving myself a little loop. I'll be attaching with a jump ring or directly with these because I'm either going to use the jump ring attached to the magnet, depending on how it wants to fit, or I'll be attaching the lobster claw through this loop. So those are the 2 options that I'll be doing. I'm not attaching this directly to the clasp itself because I've got other bits and pieces. So it depends on if I like the length with the lobster claw attached to it or not, because those are easy to remove. And then there's this spherical concavity inside, and I'm just lining the tube up, making sure it's centered, and I've got my loop ready. And when it's centered, I'm just going to give it a little squish, and it's going to pinch down 4 corners of that crimp tube. And Then I'm rotating it 90 degrees, so it's straight up and down, and I'm giving it another little squish. And then I'm just rotating it around, giving it more little squishes until it offers no more resistance. Squish it into a submission. And when you're done, it ends up as a simple little ball of crimp that just looks like a silver bead. And you just snip that off. Now, I learned something yesterday. Like I said, by the time you watch this, it was last week. I learned something yesterday because we were talking about the magical crimper and how some people have faulty crimpers. That is possible. Becky and I found that out. I had a faulty crimper, and I need to make sure that I'm doing two things right here. I'm checking my pattern, and yes, that looks good. I don't have like crystals right in the center, and I do wonder if that's going to bother me, or if it isn't really going to matter because it's just a repeating pattern across, that I don't have crystals in the center. I didn't realize I had an even number of repeats until just now. And I put 4 seed beads here instead of 3. Okay, I'm going to cut a little extra wire because I know we just did this, but this is near the side where I already crimped. If I'm going to add a section of the crystals in the center, I don't want as many seed beads on the ends. So I'm going to back this off, add some crystals on the ends. I'm just double checking with what I have right now. Yep. I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna change that. So I am backing, basically I'm restringing this whole thing. Darn it. I wish I'd noticed that sooner. How many of you saw that? When I was, because that would have been one of the first ones that I showed. How many of you saw that? And I missed it. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. We still have plenty of time. This won't take me very long. Everything's going to be basically laid out in the order that it's going to be. I'm not going to have nearly as many seed beads on the ends. In fact, if I'm adding a section of crystal here, then I not only don't want the extra seed beads, I think I might only want 1 seed bead. So I'm basically taking off everything but that last seed bead. So I've got it laying here on the mat. Whoop. Lost a seed bead, but that's okay. I found it. And then I lost another one. Whoops. Okay. So I know I'm slightly off screen. This is just me picking these guys up off the edge where they are, and then I will work across. It's a good thing I have extra seed beads because they're going flying when I'm trying to pick them up. It's because I'm hurrying, guys, because I already strung this and then I don't want to waste more of your time. Maybe I will restring this and come back. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for you, friends, because I have not been awake for very long, and normally I have conversation when I am just doing something that doesn't have a lot of instruction in it. And this way I can go ahead and get this restrung, not worry about if I'm in frame, and be back with you with that correction made and the adjustment to my design also made. So I'm removing the extra seed beads at the end, removing my extra seed bead where I accidentally put 4, and I'm making sure that I have an odd number of crystal repeats so that there will be crystals right there at the hollow of your throat. So that is what I'm going to do, and I will be right back. Okay, friends, I am back with right where I said I was going to leave off. So I did remove the excess seed beads on either side. I added a additional repeat of the crystal, so I now have an odd number, and so some crystals will be like focused right there at the hollow of my throat, and everything lines up. I don't have an uneven number of seed beads anywhere. And this is still going to be about the length that I want it to be. I am going to remove the lobster claws and then attach the jump rings directly to the loops that I'm making so that I have a little bit less space for my clasp, because I use that space for that additional crystal repeat. So I'm glad that I noticed. That is one reason why I check before I do that final crimp, because that is kind of my last opportunity to make any design changes or correct any errors I might have made along the way. And when I did that, I discovered that there were things that I wanted to change. And for me, because I hadn't finished it, crimping it all the way, it was worth the extra 10 minutes that it took to go ahead and just get that restrung the way I want it. Now I want just a little bit of curl on this necklace because I do want it to drape nicely. There's not gonna be a whole lot of drape because this is a shorter necklace, but what does drape, I want to sit elegantly on my collar. But I'm getting this other loop. I went ahead and scooched it in, looped it back. I want it to be roughly the same size as the other one, but I also am needing to make sure that I have a little bit of space between this seed bead and my crimp tube so that when I'm using my pliers, I don't break my seed bead. So I'm just using my thumbnail to kind of hold that space a little bit. That's too small of a loop. Because like I said, I am at least loosely matching them. All right, I think I've got that where I want it. So there's two things I do differently when I'm doing the last crimp. The one of them I just showed you, making sure that I've got enough room because I'm going to be crimping right up against beads this time. So get that to focus. So see how that bead is clear of my pliers? That means I'm not going to break it. The other thing that I do differently when I'm doing the last crimp is I don't pull it away to show you the ravioli because I know it's centered. It felt right when I pressed it. And so I'm just going to open my pliers, rotate it around to that 90 degrees that I was telling you about, and then crimp again. I found that it's easier for me because it is important when you start that it's centered, but it's also important that it remains centered as you are crimping. Because if it's not centered, then your bead can get mangled at any point that you're making it. So not just at the beginning, but also throughout. And for me, it's easier to make sure it stays centered if I don't remove it from the tool. If it feels wrong, if I need to look at it and check, I will absolutely do that. But because it felt right, and it is something you get a feel for, it was worth going ahead and leaving it in the tool for me, just to make sure that it stays centered. All right, my magnet is going to try to attach to my tools, so I've got it still attached to itself so that it's not trying to grab my tools. All the sparkly beads in the background are blocking. Anyway, I don't want to move them up because I'm about to use them again. So you're going to go ahead and just swing open. This has a jump ring that is attaching the clasp to this lobster claw. The lobster claw is unnecessary for me, so I'm just taking off the lobster claw, putting on my strand, and then closing that jump ring, because these are decent jump rings that came attached to it. If you don't have a good strong jump ring or you don't like it, that is an opportunity as well to change your jump ring. I didn't feel like I needed to for these. But again, I'm keeping this very, everything is sparkle, so that includes my magnetic clasp. Taking off that lobster claw that I don't need. Making sure this isn't twisted funny. And attaching the strand to the other side of that. So now, and if I need to, I can always change jump rings or add lobster claws back in if I want to change how it fits. But this should fit me just about perfectly. Yes, just right around the base of my neck. Like actually slightly above my collarbone, which is precisely how I want this to fit. Not quite choker where it rides up on the neck itself, but where it just rests very comfortably at the base. This is my necklace. And look at all the sparkle in it. Yay, sparkle. Look at all that sparkle. I am loving the necklace. I can just do this because we've got the clasp is already attached. I can just fold it over and see where it meets. So if I start with 3 seed beads and I use this clasp, then I'll need one, let's see, checking the number of repeats, because this is going to be the easiest way to make sure I get this bracelet right on the first try. So see how this is like the seed bead section, like they barely overlap right here where these crystals meet. So that means if I have the seed beads on either side, and I'll probably put 2 seed beads on each side just so that it fits a little bit more loosely. But this is the necklace length. Actually, let me get it around to the clasp side. Okay, so from the clasp to here is 4 repeats. 4 repeats plus the seed beads. So I'm going to start with that for my bracelet. And I'm not worried about this one having an odd number of repeats because it's going to twist around my bracelet or my wrist as I wear it. I like my bracelet to fit a little bit loose. So if I'm doing 4 repeats, then that means I need 2 more of these little star cut guys, and I don't need to get anything else. I've got everything else. That's the last of what I need for the bracelet. So I'm going to start with, I said 5 seed beads on the end because I do want it just a couple of seed beads length, because where I was holding it was enough to fit my wrist. Where I want it to fit is a little bit looser, just a little bit. So this is where I'm starting. I'll make sure I've got all of my mat moved a little bit. So let me get all these beads back on, so as I reach over to get beads that I'm still in frame. I might move around my frame, but I will be in frame. Actually, I moved them out to the edges when I was trying to do something, and I'm moving them back in where it's a more workable space. Okay, so I already did that. Seed beads. Guys, I really like this pattern. I like this pattern that I came up with. I love how sparkly this is. I love how it celebrates the crystals without just feeling like I just strung the crystals straight off the strand, which honestly sometimes I kind of want to do because, gosh, they're so pretty. But I probably shouldn't. I'm going to move this tool out of my elbow space and my bracelet back up there. Not my bracelet, my necklace, because I made a necklace, guys, and it's pretty. And again, if I need to adjust the number of seed beads, I will know that before I crimp the second side, at least, probably before I even do the first side. Hey, stop. My dog is being noisy in her ablutions. Is that the word? I'm telling her to leave it alone, and she's not listening because she's deaf. So hopefully that's not getting picked up on the camera. If so, I am sorry, friends. I apparently cannot make her stop. So, just getting my work back here in the middle. let's see. Good, we're still good on time. I was just glancing at the clock. I'm hoping to be done recording in time to catch some of my friends during a live over the weekend. It's been a busy weekend for lives. Like I said, I'm recording this on Sunday, and TGBE is still going on, and a lot of our friends have had presentations, and so I like to support them if I can. So just glancing at the clock to see if I was gonna, you know, miss something I was looking forward to. I am working through a lot of this, getting some of this stuff pre-recorded, but that's the other great thing about TGBE is much of that content is available on replay, because for everyone who is doing their segments on YouTube, those are available on replay. So you could watch through other places like Facebook and things like that, but I think a lot of them, the ones I generally follow anyway, also have it on their YouTube channel, so it's easy for me to go and catch it later if I miss it. But if I can be there live for something, then I will. I try my best to support as I can, but it is a busy weekend and I have more videos to record. I figured I'd start with this one today. All right, and then another 5 seed beads. Okay, so this with the clasp and the loops. So from crimp to crimp, our clasp is taking up this much space, okay? So this is about how loose I like my bracelet to fit. And I think that that is going to be a little bit too loose. So I am actually going to remove I added those 2 seed beads to each side. I just took 2 off of one side. I'm seeing if it needs to be 4. Yeah, it looks like it needs to be 4 on each side. So I'm just removing 1 seed bead from each side. So I'm putting 1 back over here, and then before I crimp the other side, I'll remove 1. I like odd numbers. I don't feel like it's that important when you're finishing a bracelet and getting it to size. So getting my crimp bead out, or my crimp tube, just to be clear, because those are 2 different things. These are crimp tubes. And again, I based it on the loops that I'd already made, so matching my earlier loop. And just like when I did that second one, I'm not going to be demonstrating this one fully, so I am doing it on camera so you can see it and see me repeat the process. Those crystals under my hand are attention seekers, and I got distracted by them, so I had to make sure that I was centered again, so that I wouldn't mangle my crimp. Come on. Here we go. And, you know, I think technically you're supposed to be able to do it in 4 presses. If you do it in 4 and it's not done, just keep going. There's nothing wrong with taking a little bit more time on your crimp, giving it a few extra squishes to make sure that it's all tucked in nice how you want it. So if you do the 4 that the package says that you should do and you're not happy with it, just keep going. Just keep going. You can't hurt it. If it's not done, it's not done. All right, and then I'm gonna need space to crimp again, so I'm gonna go ahead and snip here. And I'm taking off 1 seed bead and match the other side. And I need another crimp tube. For some reason, only 3 came out before. Let's get this 4th one. Ooh. Getting a little bit of curve on my bracelet. Doing the thing so that it will fit nice. And the nice thing is I am not attaching this directly to a clasp, so if I need to make any adjustments, whether it's adding lobster claws in for extra space or using a larger jump ring, additional jump ring, I can make those modifications. Just making sure I'm clear of my bead, and I am. And then getting back to it. Yep. See, this one, the other one needed just a little bit more finessing, and it does sometimes because I got distracted by my crystals. Remember, just like my camera's getting distracted by the crystals, I did too. Just snip that as close as you can with your flush cutter. And I only got out one clasp. I was only going to make a necklace to start with, but if you're going to have a really elegant little necklace, why not have a small drapey bracelet too? Right? So, get my bracelet back out of, or necklace back out of the way. I moved it down there so that I could show you how much space I needed to crimp. And then we're going to put together some simple but elegant earrings using just a couple of our favorite crystals from this. Right. Okay, moment of truth. Does this bracelet fit? It feels small, but it is very attracted to my magical crimpers. They are magical, I know. Oh no, this is perfect, guys. It rotates just gently on my wrist. It could be a little bit longer. I wouldn't be mad at that. Let me move these crystals under my hand so that I'm not fighting with them. I don't know why my phone is having such a hard time focusing today. So yeah, that is pretty much done. Like I said, if I want to add a little bit more movement on the bracelet, I can easily do that by adding additional jump rings, but that is, I'd call that a done bracelet. So I finished the bracelet, I finished the necklace. Let's put together some easy earrings. I need to get some ball pins. I know I'd used them recently. Did them during the late night beading Sister Stash challenge. I used these guys, so I knew they were within reach. And I have some silver toned nickel free ear wires, also easily within reach. Just straightening up this pin a little bit. It's a little bit bent, but okay. So with the ball here, I'm kind of thinking we'll do just a quick stack. I'm not going to bother with seed beads. Just a quick stack of either those two, or let's see what it looks like with these as well. So that the biggest crystal is at the bottom, stacked with these other guys. Is that too small? Is that too simple of an earring? Maybe. So I'm going to consider adding, give me a moment, some eye pins. Maybe we'll do a dangle and a stick. So if that's our dangle, and we do stick with these guys, And because I am using these pins, I am adding a tool. These are my memory wire cutters. I will use them because these are stainless steel pins, and I don't want to damage my other guys. Okay, so if that's how that drops, then I wonder if I do want to go ahead and not a full repeat of the crystal because there's not enough space to put seed beads between each of them, but like a condensed version of that. And then one of these. So this becomes the main body of the necklace, or not the necklace, the earring with a swingy drop made from the other. Let's try it. Because that's a very updo style necklace, so a super long, not super long, but a longer dangly earring might be just the thing. And if you prefer to just have the small drop, you could do a smaller configuration here and not do the longer length. You can easily break this up if you want to do it, but in a different configuration. That's totally fine. Okay, I'm also adding, since I'm making loops, my round nose pliers. So I'm going to bend this over, and I'm going to snip off everything but about a centimeter. Let's get this other one ready as well. I'm going to need 3 more of these. Okay, and get this one over, just so that I cut them in roughly the same place. I wanted to do them close to each other so they have similar length loops. And then we've got our other pin, which is going to be seed bead, dark star, like the small star cut, the star cut, the lantern, star cut, small star cut, and seed bead. And the orientation doesn't matter because none of these are front and back, but I am going to try to make these parallel loops just because I think it looks nicer. So I'm holding it so I see the loop here and bending it to the side. So then when I make the loop, it should be closer to a parallel loop. So doing the same again there. All right, and snipping these guys too. Those felt softer to cut. I might not have needed to use the memory wire cutters, but they might be a different material. But I'd still rather not mess up my good flush cutters. Okay, so I'm just taking this, pinching it between the jaws of my round nose plier and turning it towards me until the metal comes back to meet metal, and I've got my loop. So just doing that on all 4 of these segments, and then we'll attach them. Just like, oh, I was off camera. I am so sorry. So here between, I'm demonstrating it again in case I was off camera for the whole thing. I think I may have been. If so, I apologize. And my first 2 were like perfect loops. And then that one I had to fiddle with a little bit. So just taking it, it's already bent over so that, you know, loop will be centered when it finishes. That's why I bend it to start with. Okay. And then I'm opening with my pliers. Oh, let me get my ear wires out because that is important. These are super like bright silver, so they might look a little bit out of place, but you're mostly not going to see them. And if I had some stainless steel, I think it would look better, but that's okay. I have some stainless steel ones, but they have like pinch bells on them. So they're not great for this. So I'm just going to use my, let me move some of these other tools that I'm no longer using out of the way. I'm just going to use my chain nose pliers and open up one end of this link. I don't even know which was which to start with. And I'm adding a drop on that end and making sure that it's nice and closed. And then I'm opening the other end. And I am adding an ear wire. I'm going to do it this way. It's not important, but I noticed that my link at the bottom opens on this side, so I want this at the back. So it's just me being particular. There's not really a design reason for it. There's nothing that is facing the wrong way, but I think that it will just look nicer with a more solid wire there. So that is my dangly earring. I like this. This was a good choice, I think. This was a good choice. So I'm just getting this attached here. And then getting this guy open, and then I will do the same thing where I attach the ear wire in a way that the open side of my dangle loop is towards the back of my earring. Okay, moving some of these beads out of the way because guess what? It's time for a last look. As we do, right guys? Let's have our last look at what I made. I am really pleased with this. So, are you ready? Let me do this in order. Do the reveal. We've got our beautiful necklace that is just, there is no focal. It's got this pretty, I mean, if you wanted to, you could wear this where it was a front closure because this is such a pretty clasp. You could absolutely do that, but this really pretty, sparkly, super sparkly. You gotta see all the sparkle. In fact, you know what? Let's do a pile of sparkle. All the sparkle all in one place. All this sparkly jewelry. Oh, guys, that's so satisfying. I love all that sparkle. Okay, sorry, distracted. Legitimately distracted. So we've got our beautiful necklace, a matching bracelet, both very delicate. And then we have some more dramatic earrings that you could shorten to the simpler version should you choose. But if you've got your hair up with a little black dress, and these feel like they're like the perfect length for doing that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. I hope that you enjoyed this. I had fun making this. If you liked it, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. Oh, I forgot to say, I didn't even talk about the GGC treasure bags. Okay, we're not finishing yet. The GGC treasure bags are curated bi-monthly. It's not a subscription. It is a special, like, limited stock. Once they're gone, they're gone. Typically, Gina, who curates this, puts together a design for the treasure bag and then does it in 2 colorways. So the findings might be same across the 2 selections, but you'll have different beads, the same style bead, but in a different color. Sometimes I get both colorways. Sometimes, like this time, I just got the one. But the best way to know when the new GGC treasure bags are coming is to follow the link in the description and sign up to get notified. So sign up to get notified, and then you'll get a newsletter. Gina will announce ahead of time what day and time it's becoming available so that you can get on and purchase the GGC treasure bags. So that is important information, and I forgot that I needed to share that with you. I go in and I buy at least one bag, possibly two. This is not a paid promotion. We do buy these bags. We don't get them for free. So just so you know, I'm going to be in there trying to get one of those bags too. But I really love them. I've started using them back in the March box. That's why I'm anticipating now. We had March, and then we had June, and then we had September, which is when this dropped, near the end of September. And so I'm expecting, no, September? I'm off. I'm off on a month somewhere. It's been 2 months since we've had this, but maybe there was an extra month delay in there and it wasn't as even. They come about every 2 months. Let me put it that way, about every 2 months. So I'm hoping to hear something soon from this. There's also going to be a link to Gina's YouTube channel where she creates tutorials for the box, and you can also make a lot of those same designs with stash items as well. So she's got official tutorials that use basically just box items, but then she also continues making from the box and adding in other elements to show how you can also use it with your stash. So check out her YouTube, subscribe there, subscribe to the newsletter. And now, if you liked this, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe here. Ring the bell so you know when we have new videos. And as always, happy beading, friends, and don't forget to play. Bye.